legislative, executive, and judiciary. Here we learn about how they are controlled over administration. Means how legislature is controlled over administration, how executive is controlled over administration, and how judicial is controlled over administration. Sure. Okay. And Unit 10 is Niti Aayog. And block 4 is about legislature, executive, and judicial control over administration. And like, okay, and Unit 12 is citizen control. That is how we control the administration, that is through RTIs, Right to Information Act. Okay, and Unit 13 is Union State Administrative Relations. We will talk about the legislative, financial, administrative, all the relations in the Unit 13. And wherever, if we come to Block 5, we had only 2 units, Ethics in Administration and Public Enterprises in India. In this 14th unit, we will deal about mainly the ethical aspects and historical aspects and components of ethics, identify the code and values of ethics, and access the need for code of conduct for public officials. Whereas in Unit 15, the public enterprises in India, we will particularly deal with the meaning and importance of public enterprises and types of public enterprises in India and what are the issues relating to public enterprises. Okay, these are the main unit, 15 units we will discuss about. Whereas coming to question paper pattern, I think you all know, you all written the first year, like in first year, you all have wrote the exams. So let's briefly discuss. First, we have to write any 5 of the questions in the given 10 question mark, in a 10 questions, which comprises of each 4 marks, total 20 marks. Next, paper 2. Next, section B consists of like choice, internal choice. We have to write only 5. Next, multiple choice questions. Next, fill in the blanks. I think you all know this pattern. And match the following. So, coming to the block 1 and first chapter, that is evolution of Indian administration. See, every Indian administration is not like present Indian constitution not derived directly from the present scenario. It is evolved from through like different historical background, like through like oldest civilizations like Harappan civilization, or we call Indus Valley civilization. There is a evolution, historical evolution in administration. Firstly, ancient administration like Indus Valley civilization or Harappan civilization, then Mauryan, Guptan. Whereas in coming medieval, we call Mughal, and modern British administrative system. All through the stages we have evolved, and we finally came into the Indian Constitution, latest one. We will look into the changes, how the changes have been made in the process. Okay, here in the first chapter, we will, what are the objectives? After reading this, what we were about to learn means, you will learn about the historical evolution of Indian administration, features of Mauryan, Guptan, Mughal, and British system, analyze the similarities and differences across the periods, like how Mauryan is different from Guptan, how the ancient administration is different from present administration. We will look into all those aspects in the next slides. See, I have just discussed that one of the oldest systems in the world is Harappan civilization. Indian administration has evolved through Harappan civilization. Most of the modern structures or cities have been the basic from the Harappan civilization. Okay. Next, all the sources. What are the sources that tells about the ancient civilization? Like Puranas, Smritis, Arthashastras, inscriptions. Inscriptions, there are so many inscriptions. Like Megasthenes Indica, Jain and Buddhist chronicles, Ashoka inscriptions are very important study. In this unit, we will mainly discuss about the Mauryan Guptan administration. In Mauryan Guptan administration, what are the important subject means Saptanga theory of the state, features of Mauryan administration, features of Guptan administration, next administration of Mughal Empire, administration of British, and comparison of administrative systems like past and the present, how we have evolved it. Okay. Next, coming to like Mauryan and Guptan administration. It is very basic. We will mostly discuss in like historical perspective here, but you should know the basics. Like Mauryan administration, who is the founder of the Mauryan administration means Chandragupta Maurya. Around 320 BC, we will call 322 BC. Next, coming to Guptan Empire. Guptan Empire was founded by Chandragupta I in 320 AD. If you go to in detail, like there are mostly common things in Mauryan administration and Guptan administration, except Mauryan administration, central Guptan administration is somewhat decentralized. Other than that, most of them are common. Like if you go to differences, like Mauryan was patronized by Buddhism, Guptan rulers was patronized Hinduism. Okay, next coming to the same things or like same capital, like Pataliputra is same capital for Mauryan dynasty and Guptan dynasty. Okay, the Guptas control most of the northern part only, but the Mauryan Empire was till South India. Okay, that are the basics. Next, Mauryan administration was governed by powerful emperors, and they have very elaborated bureaucracy. Okay, that is central administration mainly. But in Guptan administrations, village was the main important village was governed by their own headmen. In Guptan administration, we see delegated power, but it is not seen in Mauryan administration. Next, coming to Saptanga theory of state, which was written by Kautilya. Kautilya's Arthashastra. Here he mentions about 7 organs. Okay, Saptangas means 7 organs. What are those 7 organs means? First, Swami, that is king, Amartya, Janapada, Durga, Kosha, Dandamitra. We will discuss in detail about these 7 organs. To survive a state, Kautilya discussed about these 7 organs, how each one play important role in their state. Okay, first one coming to Swami or king. Swami means like he is a king. He is the only head of the nation. He is the main pillar, we will call it. At present, we can compare it with the prime minister. He is the real executive authority. He is the chief executive or chief legislator, chief judge. He is the head all above the all persons. The main duty of the Swami is to look after the happiness and welfare of the people. The happiness and welfare of the people is the main function of the king. So, only a king cannot do all the functions. He should assisted by some of the officials. So, he used to appoint ministers and officials. For that, they used to name as Amatyas. Okay, Amatyas means a minister. Minister means it is not only respected to one kind. There are various forms of ministers. It can compare with present ministries. Okay, they include higher officials such as priests, ministers, collectors, treasurers, officers engaged in civil administration, criminal administration also. And we will have also envoys, superintendents of various departments. All the officials and ministers comes under Amatyas. Next, coming to Janapada. Janapada means it is a territory or population. See, to rule, a king should have a territory, defined territory. India means we will have a borders. In the same way, king like Guptan Empire or Mauryan Empire, there is a defined territory. Without territory, there is no king or there is no territory. Okay, so people and territory is one of the main organ of Saptanga theory. That Janapada should have good climate, good land for cultivation, and it should be fertile and yield and should be more yield so that the development can be take place. Okay. Next, coming to fourth important organ, that is Durga. Durga means fortress or capital. Mostly Durga means like fortress, constructed like Golconda Fort or Maula. There are many forts. Like it is used for protection of the city. Okay. Arthashastra gives a wider meaning describing in the sense of fortified capital. Okay, fortified capital is nothing but Durga. It will mainly help for others do not invade those regions. Next, Kosha means treasury. Means we can compare it with latest budget. Budget is very important organ to survive any state. Okay. According to Kautilya, treasury accompanied by righteous and legitimate means should be retained by the kind. It should be filled with gold, silver, precious jewelry, gems. Okay. It should use in a very extreme conditions like famines or adverse cyclones or anything which affect, we can use the treasury for development of the state or organ. It is one important organ. Next, coming to sixth important organ of the state, Danda. Danda means army. The army Kautilya mentions is it should have hereditary, it should have like corporation soldiers comprising of infantry, charioteer, elephantry, cavalry, all types of soldiers I have seen in the Saptanga theory of the state. It is very important to maintain the army. Okay. Next, Mitra. Mitra is a friendly states, allies. It is also called as allies. Why? Because if there is no friend, like it may be very difficult if any other kings who have more territory, more army to defeat him. So it is important to maintain allies for a state. Next, coming to Mauryan administration, key features. What are the important features of Mauryan administration? See, we all know the Mauryan administration is centralized administration. Okay. The king is the supreme authority. He is the paternalistic ruler. But he should be administered by some of the council of ministers, which is called as Mantri Parishad. The centralized itself says that it is a monarchy form of government. Yeah, mostly the previous, all like before British, all of them are mostly monarchical, except see Chola dynasty, some of the southern states, except most of them are monarchical form of government only. In Mauryan state also, we would see wide varieties of activities integrated with various institutions. Like one of the major concerns of the lights during that period are based on religious, ethics, society, family, economics, culture, and thereby embracing all lives. Okay, it will affect the form of lives. Next, the government by nature was authoritarian and administration was organized in a autocratic form. Autocratic form is nothing but it is a type of monarchical form. The Mauryans maintained secrecy in administration and all measures were taken in safeguarding and protecting the government information. There is a spy system maintained. Okay. Here, when we speak about central administration, How the central government is functioned? It is highly centralized and bureaucratic in nature. We already discussed it. And there are numerous officers which are ranked and they enjoy many privileges also. In the same way, in the present, MLAs and MPs are also same privileges. They enjoy the same privileges. Whereas the important institutions in the central government are first, the important institution is king. King is the supreme authority. Next, council of ministers. The king should be assisted by the council of ministers, and then the secretariat. Same. Now we can compare with the prime minister, council of ministers, and secretariat in the parliament. Okay. Whereas coming to the the king is the supreme authority. He will. The main function of the king is welfare of the people, well-being of the people of the entire kingdom. He It is the main important element in the administration of Mauryans and Guptans also. He is like a father to his people. He was the fountainhead of all powers, authority, and used to look after everything in the state. His duties, his various duties include: he was the head of the administration and justice, law, and the army. He is the chief head of the army, law, and judiciary. He is the highest court of appeal in the empire, and the royal orders are issued based on his decrees. Appointments of important officers are also taken place by the king only, by the king himself. He laid down the broad guidelines of policy and issues codes of regulations like Shashana Dharma Niyamas for his officers and the people. Next, though the king wielded with such diplomatic and very extensive powers, he is guided by noblest ideals and beneficiaries and considered the servant of the people and strove the welfare of the people only. He will control the treasure and the military forces, though there was commander-in-chief. There is separate commander-in-chief also. But here, he will act as, he will control the commander-in-chief and the army itself. The king also had the power to increase or decrease the tax. It is the main features of the king. Whereas coming to council of ministers, how council of ministers are guided, what are the functions of the council of ministers? Here we all know that only a king cannot perform all the functions related to the people. So he will divide. Now we can go delegated legislation, delegated powers. Like he will issue some powers to council of ministers. In that period, the council of ministers are called as mantris. In the entire empire, they are called as mantris. Similarly, at each state also, in provinces also, there used to be governors and rajakas. In the provinces, we will learn about it. They are also called the amityas or mantris or council of ministers. They are the government elected body. Only government, that means the king elected body, not the people elected body. In addition to this, mantris were the council of ministers called Mantri Parishad. All those advisors are also called as Mantri Parishad. Mantri Parishad will be like all the persons at a time when there is an emergency, like in the time of war or in the time of famine, any disaster occurs, then they will organize Mantri Parishad. All the council of ministers will be coming together and discuss with respect to the problem to give suggestions to the king mainly. The administrations also have inner cabinet, 4 to 5 persons, consisting of Yuvaraja, Prime Minister, Purohita, and Commander-in-Chief. Commander-in-Chief and Treasurer also. Okay. Next, the historical evidences reveal that Chandragupta Maurya was completely in the hands of Prime Minister Kautilya. Here, Chandragupta Maurya and Kautilya were very close. That even Mauryan dynasty was established by Chandragupta Maurya on the lines of Kautilya, on the advice of the given given advice of Kautilya only. Chandragupta Maurya established the Mauryan dynasty. Even Ashoka also. Most of the Buddhist sanghas in most of the ministers in the Ashoka's period was Buddhist sanghas. So he was influenced by Buddhism. Next, coming to secretariat. It is a third important organ of central government. That is secretariat. Secretariat and civil services. These both are the third organs. It is very highly organized secretariat for the conduct of state business. It includes several departments. Each department will work under a head called as Adhyaksha. Now we will call them as superintendent. Adhyaksha or superintendent. Each department in turn associated by accountants, scribes, stock takers, and spies. The heads of the department used to work in consensus with their ministers. The government was well organized civil services, both executive and judicial officers. Here also we will have civil services, subordinate judicial officers, and also executive officers trained in the administration. The members of the royal families were considered to fill the higher positions in the executive, judicial, and diplomatic departments. That means there existed nepotism. Nepotism is also existed during Mauryan dynasty. Kautilya mentioned two important officials in this what we call civil service organization. That is Sannidata and Samaharthi. Here, Sannidata means in charge of treasury, stores all kinds of accounts, dues, and maintenance. That means he deals with the money things. All the treasury departments will be done by the Sannidata, whereas the Samaharthi is responsible for collecting the revenues. Okay. Who will maintain means Sannidata. Who will collect means Samaharthi. Here, the accountant general is called as accountant general is in charge of the currency. He is called as Asha Patala Daksha. There used to be a gatekeeper called as Dawarika. There are so many other what we call important members like Antarvamshi, leader of gods, like Dandapala. Next, Paura, capital city, look after capital city. City judge is called as Vyavaharika. Superintendent of manufacturers called as Karman Tika. Durgapala, the governor of forts and Antapala. This is secretariat and civil services. Next, when we come about provinces and provincial government and districts, they are called as Kumaras. Kumaras are governors and Rajukas in local governance. Okay. Here, the total Mauryan administration was divided into 5 provinces. It is very, very important. What are the 5 divisions of districts? Means the North province, the West province, the South province, the East province, and the Central province. Okay. The North province is also called as Uttarapada. Uttarapada's capital is Takshashila. The Western province is called as Avanti Raksha. The capital is Ujjain. The southern province is called as Dakshinapada. It is at Suvarnagiri. The eastern province, also called as Kalinga, it is at Tosali. The central provinces, we all know that central province main capital, that is Pataliputra. Pataliputra is capital for both Mauryan and Guptan also. Here, in each province, there is a governor. That governor is called as Kumara or Aryaputra, who are generally used to be the sons or belong to the royal family. The provincial governor receives instructions about the general policy and administration from the king. All the important decisions made by the king will be implemented by the Kumaras at the provincial level. Provincial government enjoyed very high and wide powers. They maintain internal order and protect provinces from external enemies contiguous to the territories under their charge. Okay, they are also assisted by number of external enemy employees and efficient control over provincial governors. Besides maintaining law and order, revenue collection also takes place in the provinces. Okay. Next, the provinces also, here we have seen the 5 types of provinces. In that provinces also, we will have some divisions. Like we will also call them as districts, like rural areas or urban areas. And there used to be in charge for all those the subdivisions like rural or urban. Like the name of the officer in charge of division or districts is Rajuka. He is head of the division. He is called as Rajuka or Mahamatra. Here we can see this Rajuka in Ashoka period also. In Ashoka period, he granted all the powers to the Rajukas. But here, when we come to Mauryan administration, it is a centralized administration. Most of the power was concentrated only on the king. Unless the king gives like what we call royal decreases, they cannot implement anything. But during the Ashoka periods, it is decentralized. The Rajukas had some of their powers to what to do or what not to do with respect to their provinces or districts. They are also some administrative powers like civil, revenue, criminal within the provinces, provincial level. Okay, in provinces, like in districts, there is a person called as Pradesika, who is executive and judicial head of the district. The Yuktas were the officers who carried on the administrative duties of the districts and were treasury officers. Yuktas are treasury officers. Okay. The district was subdivided into some of the types. Like first we have seen like king will divide the kingdom into 5 provinces, then provinces to districts. In the districts, there is like a union, like comprising of 800 villages, we will call as Thania. Comprising of 400 villages, we will call as Dronamukas. Comprising of 200 villages, we will call as Karvantika. Comprising of 100 villages, we call as Sangrana. Just keep remember those names: Stania, Dronamukas, Karvatika, and Sangrana. Who is the in charge of those Sangrana? Sangrana comprises of 100 villages, right? Those 100 villages, the officers of in charge is called as by the name Gopa. Most of the any major empire village is the smallest unit of the administration only. The village will be headed by Gramika or village headman. He is the headman and accountant of the village and maintain the register containing the full survey of socio-economic conditions of the people. Okay, next. Severity of punishment for offenses is made by the officers to do their governmental work with full responsibility. Whatever the king gives the royal orders for the punishment will be issued at the village level by these officers, Gramika or village headman. Next, here we also have the espionage system. We all know about espionage system, right? Like They will talk about secretive system. It is detectives or what we call agents. We call them as agents. They work for the government. They will stay with the people and let know about what people think about the administration and about the king. They will have extensive network and monitor administration. See, the espionage people are those people selected, those have only capable and trustworthy persons of approved honesty, loyalty, ability. Okay, those who have those common features only are to be selected in the espionage system. They kept himself adequately informed about the working condition directly to the king also once upon a time, or if they have directly informed to council of ministers or ministers. Even some of the normal life of the people as watched and reported how the basic life of the people are living. It is also reported by the people of espionage. Next, coming to justice, administration of justice. How is the judiciary system? Here, the judiciary system in cities were headed by two main officers. They are mahamantras and rajukas. There are two types of courts also. That is dharmastaya, we will call as civil nowadays, and kantaka sodana, that is criminal. And we had both civil courts and criminal courts. Civil courts were called as dharmastaya and criminal courts are called as kantaka soda. There is also police headquarters and police stations in each of the towns and cities. The chief justice is called as dharmadikari. Just remember that dharmadikari is called as chief justice. Most of the laws are based on Hindu law. Just remember the Hindu law, that is Shastras, Vedas, administers the civil laws. Next, coming to military administration. In military administration, there is a very huge. We have learned in the seven organs of the state. There is cavalry, infantry, elephantry. All those things comes under military administration only. Thus, military administration also very hierarchical. That is controlled, well organized, and maintained by the king and army commander in chief. We also call him as Senadipati. It was controlled by Senadipati, but the Senadipati was within the control of the king. There is also a superintendence of like horses, chariots, elephants, naval forces, and infantry forces. And there is also separate in charge for the armory also. There is separate war office also, like military commission consisting of 30 members. It is further divided into 6 boards, and each of consists of 5 members to look after particular section of the army. In each board also there will be a superintendent and carried out his routine work. Okay, these are the main features of Mauryan administration. All this Mauryan administration information is got through the Saptanga theory of the state, which is written in Arthashastra by Kautilya. Next, coming to Guptan administration. Okay, Guptan administration. Guptan administration is a Vaishya dynasty. According to historians, Guptan dynasty established efficient administration system characterized by peace, prosperity, and intellectual development. Guptan dynasty is also called as golden era. Why? Because it developed a very peak in literature, religion, art and architecture, and commerce. So it is called as golden age in the Indian history. Okay. If you come about the features, what are the important features of Guptan administration, the same way we discussed in the king, the council of ministers, and the secretariat and the espionage system and the administration of the in the same way, the empire is divided into some parts. That is like the king, same the central government, council of ministers, provincial administration, village administration, military administration, and we had land grants. Okay, coming to the king, same the king have all the powers, same as the Mauryan administration. Okay, the element of divinity was attached to the kings, and they were looked as gods and god representatives. The divine angle came into existence during Gupta period. They were considered themselves as gods, looked themselves as gods. Here, from Guptan administration, they started like adopting titles like Maharaja Dhiraja, Chakravarti, Parameshwara, Paramavira Divira, Maharaja Dhiraja. All these pompous titles were taken by the Guptan rulers. The maintenance of Varnashrama Dharma appear an important royal duty in the Guptan inscription. Guptan administration is not qualitative but quantitative and relates to divine associations. But whereas in Mauryan administration, it is both qualitative and quantitative. They compared to Vishnu as regard to the functions of Lord Vishnu. Next, coming to the central government. Here, the central government consists of various names like Rashtriya, Rashtra, Desha, Mandala, Prithvi, Avani. It will have names, different names. It is divided into 26 but during administration. But whereas coming to the Guptan administration, there are 20 provinces. And provinces was divided into Vishyas and put in the control of Vishyapati. Okay. Here the provinces divided into Vishyas. That Vishyas is headed by Vishyapati. Whereas the provinces in the Mauryan administration are divided into divisions or districts. The division of districts is headed by Rajuka or Mahamatra. Here, each department has its own seal, and number of Mahasenatipatis are watch over these feudatories. And other ministers like Sadi will look after the foreign policy. Sadi is a foreign minister. We can call him as a foreign minister towards his neighboring states. See, the bureaucratic structure was same with respect to what we call Mauryan administration. Whatever the Mauryan structure followed the bureaucratic system that was followed during Guptan administration also. Some of the extent like severe capital punishments were less during the Guptan administration. Okay. Next, coming to Council of Ministers, it is one important organ of the Guptan administration. Like Guptan government ministers, they were like Nayaka is judicial functions carried. Mostly headed in the present how the ministry is Council of Ministry headed by ministry. In the same way, they are also headed by ministry. The king appoints ministers, commanders, governors, all of them. Ministers called by different names like Mantri, Amatya, Sachiva. High officers like Mahamatras and Rashoka and Amatya, the Shatavahana, Kumaramatyas form cadre of officers. They had marked a right for their functions. Okay. Next, we are coming to next provincial administration. How the provincial administration or like local administration is going on during Guptan administration. It is the primary aim of the provincial administration is to collect taxes. Same way the provincial administration is district. District comes under district collector. In the same way, in the Guptan administration or Mauryan administration, the main function is to collect the revenue and maintenance of law and order. The Guptan provinces was smaller than Mauryan provinces. It is called as Buktas. The provinces were called as Buktas during Gupta's administration. The Bukta was the largest administrative unit under Guptas. And there were at least 6 such divisions over Bengal, Jharkhand, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and Madhya Pradesh. Okay. Next, the Uparika. Uparika is the in charge of Bhukti. Okay, we had just discovered that Bhukti is nothing but provinces. Okay, major important provinces is Bhuktas. This Bhukta is headed by Uparika. And this Bhuktas was divided into districts. Those districts are called as Pradeshas. Okay, Pradeshas was divided into Vishyas or districts. See, if there is a bigger state, it will divide into sub-districts. Those sub-districts we further divided into villages. In the same way, here, the provincial administration is divided into Bhuktis. Bhuktis is divided into Vishyas. Vishyas is divided into Vishyas is headed by Vishyapati. Vishyapati will get advisors from 4 representatives. I mean, there is a council of representatives. Those 4 representatives are Nagaraj Pratama Kayastha. A part of Vishyas, there were also trade links of Gupta with Roman Empire. Same, the trade with Roman or Chinese during Indus Valley civilization has been seen in the Guptan period also. There is also police chiefs, control of military stores, chief justice. Chief justice is Mahadandanayaka. We have just looked into that, which itself is an evidence of existence of there is a hierarchy, clear organized hierarchy of officials have been seen in the Guptan administration. Okay. Next, officers are very often of royal blood, maintain law and order, means all of the like family members within the king family or council of minister family used to take the functions of the provinces. Here, who is the in charge of Vishya means Kumaramatya is the in charge of Vishya. But later on, the Vishya was under the head of Vishyapati. The name is changed to Vishyapati. His powers and authority was based on the ability to possess the number of the Vishyapati, like powers or authority was mainly like was based on the number of elephant he have, cavalry he have, infantry we have. Okay, based on the army forces, they have the power. Here, the Vishya is divided into Vithis. The Vithis is divided into villages. Village is the lowest unit of administration. We all know that. Okay. Next, there is a towns like there will be like metropolitan. Now we call as metropolitan cities. Then we used to call them as puripalas, like towns. Towns are called as puripalas. Looked after the town administration with the help of town councils represented by chiefs of guilds called as Nagar states. representing the urban training centers. Okay. Next, coming to village administration. We all know that village is the lowest administration unit during both Mauryan administration and Guptan administration also. Here, the village administration worked independently and enjoyed autonomous status. Each village had their own seal. Just we had our own pin code. In the same way, they had their own seal, each village. The villages looked themselves after their interests. Here, the Gramika is the head of the village. And there were other officials also who demarcated the boundaries of the villages. And there is also like surveyor or measure of the land who is called as Prumarti, then controller of king shares of farm produce like Drovardikari. Next, Gopa, called as village accountant. The village of what are the main functions of the village office? To maintain law and orders of the villages and act custodians of life and property of the villages. That is the main function. Okay, what does that mean? Maintaining law and order and act as custodians of the life and property of the people of the village, of their village. All the land transactions also take place through the village only. The village members committee will look after the all village transaction affiliated to land, village. A village assembly is known as village panchayat, assisted by headman of the village. Who is the headman of the village means Gramika. The panchayat was equipped with both executive and judicial powers. Okay, the panchayat look after education, sanitary, roads and buildings, and relief work. Most of the present, which mentioned in 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act, we can see here in the village, also village administration, also most of the same functions has been going through. Celebrating festivals, boundaries, walls and ditches, all those functions comes under village administration. See, Guptan administrations follow decentralized administration, whereas Mauryan administration follow centralized administration. Decentralized administration means like village administration had more importance. They have their autonomy and they have their independence to work. In the same way, we can say that village administration got prominence during Guptan administration. Here, the village headman is treated as lord of the village. But coming to central, their king used to be the lord. He is considered to be the god. He is considered divine. Here, the village lord is also called as village headman. As Gramika is always called as Gramika, Gramadhyaksha. We used to solve all the village disputes with the help of village level council called Panchamandali. Next, we will have village panchayat samitis or village panchayat. In the same way, there used to be Panchamandali. It is a council. Kutumbis and Mahamatras are other words use similar village level officers. Okay. The period also marked by growing significance of land grants, which led to decentralization of authority of the king and finally gave birth to feudalism. See, here we can see the emergence of feudalism. How feudalism has born means here granting the villages, granting more number of like lands to the villages gave rise to feudalism. Landlords are the birth of landlordism or feudalism as seen in Guptan period. The functions once performed by the central government was devolved on the village administration, which was dominated by feudal and see in Mauryan administration, we came that all the royal decrees or royal orders which should be implemented by the king, which are issued by the king, should be implemented by the villages or gramikas, who is the head of the village. But whereas coming to Guptan administration, they had their village autonomy. See how the structure of the centralized administration is becoming the decentralized administration. Okay. Next, coming to military administration. The grades of military commander, like there is some grades in the military hierarchy, like Mahadandanayaka, Senadipati, Mahabaladhikarka, and there are also some like divisions in the army also, like cavalry, infantry, same which is seen in the modern administration also. Sometimes, like during the times of emergency, that is war times, Amatyas and Kumar Amatyas also play important role in military functions. Even the Amatyas and Kumar Amatyas are also like promoted to the rank of military officers, highest military officer, like chief commandant. Even they can raise also. Coming to land grants, like why are discussing land grants means here we haven't seen the land grants. The giving land grants have raised to feudalism, so it is very important to discuss about land grants. Like instead of giving salaries, the king or council of ministers or the provincial Kumar Rajakas, all of them were granted with lands. Rather than giving money or salaries, they was their main income was to depend on lands, granting of lands. Here, the king used to pay money only for those who maintain army. Okay, other than those who maintain like area or kingdom, they used to be only lands. There is no salaries. The grants in lands of two grants. That is Agrahara grant, which is given to Brahmins, that is tax free. And the second variety of land is secular for officials, like salary or reward for service. For the service done by the person, there used to grant land. These land grants has become a weaken to the authority of the king. Okay. Some of the important officials who will do their like responsibilities or functions are some, we will see some of the officials and their functions and responsibilities. Okay. Mahadandanayaka is chief justice. Mahabaladhikarani is commander in chief. Mahapratihara means maintenance of royal houses or royal palaces. Next, Dandapa, Dandapa, Dandapakshi means head of police department. Next, Sarvadhyaksha. Sarvadhyaksha means inspection of all central departments. Next, Mahavapati, cavalry. Vinayapuri, Vinayapura, King's court. Who represent guests to King court is Mahavapati. You can go through this. Coming to some type of taxes. Here the taxes is divided. So what are the important taxes that are divided there? Bali, Boga, Hiranya, Wakara, Khara, Sulka, Klipta. We will discuss some of the taxes. Bali tax. Bali tax is tax paid to the king's usage. Okay. Bali is only for king's use. Next, Baga. Baga means the for suppose we produce any through agriculture, then we should pay a share to the king. It is 1/10 or 1/5 based on the royal decrees. Boga. Boga means it is a gift. It is a gift, any kind of gift related with flowers or fruits or woods or anything, gifts, anything to the king. That is Boga. Hiranya means tax paid in cash or gold. Next, Kara means tax from villages for village development. Next, Shulka. Shulka means toll tax. Now we are using toll tax. Like in the same way, there is a toll tax. It is Shulka. It is mainly useful for traders, for development of trade and commerce. Udinanga. It is social security and tax. Next, coming to Kilpta, sale and purchase of land. Sale and purchase of land is deals with Kilpta. Okay. Next, just we will revise once, then we will close. Next, one of the important source for modern administration, Saptanga theory of the state. Arthashastra. In Arthashastra, he mentions about Saptanga theory of the state. In Saptanga theory, we have seven organs like King, Amartya, Janapada, Danda, Kosha, Mitra. All those seven organs play important role for running a state. Okay. Next, we discussed about modern administration key features, how central government is divided into provinces, how provinces will divided into bhuktis will divided into like village administration. In the same way, their heads, departments, their espionage system, their military administration, their judicial administration, everything we have learned. Next, coming to Guptan administration, here, the major change from Mauryan administration and Guptan administration is here we came decentralized administration. Village had their autonomy. Previously, there used to be only five provinces. Now it became 26 provinces. Guptan era is also called as golden era because there we can see the prosperity in culture, both in culture, art, and architecture. Everything we can see. Okay. Decentralized administration. They gave importance to provinces and local administration. Land grants have been granted. Through land grants only, like feudal system has been evolved. Feudal system, the emergence of feudal system can be seen in Guptan administration. Guptan okay. In the next class, we will discuss about Mauryan administration. In the next class, we will discuss about Mughal administration and British administration and evolution of Indian administration. How from the ancient and present the evolution has been taking place. Okay, thank you. If anyone have any doubts, yes, you can ask. Okay, thank you everyone. Voice is not clear. I think there is some internet issue. If anyone have any doubts, yes. Okay, thank you all.